Well, a bit of Bobby's plan might just be falling over.
Good.
Of course, when we think about the Overwatch League, we obviously think back to the stories of Bobby Kotick selling the likes of Robert Kraft. You know, Kraft, the foods people. Selling them on this league, and the general thing of, what, grass sports, bottom up, east, fuck that, we're just going to do the NFL. We're going to do the NFL, we're going to do it in games. Want a team? 20 million. That's how it is. And that was the deal with the Overwatch League. It was a very, sponsored thing, all just kind of a big trumped up situation, I suppose. Really a way for Bobby Kotick to put this big wrapper of, business and all of that around playing the game competitively. And I remember in a video we did, may have been well over a year ago now, we learned about team owners not really feeling like they were getting a lot back from this. Concerns over sponsors. People thinking, Bobby Kotick is on the board of the Coca-Cola company. Coca-Cola is here as a sort of a prime sponsor. Some speculation that Coke was getting that at a very cheap rate. So there was a lot of thoughts going on there. And the one thing that was very clear is that the whole business model of the Overwatch League relies on the likes of this, on the big brand deals.
Yep.
On attracting all of that investor interest. And of course, some of the studies that were used to attract that interest back in the day, you kind of look at them and there is, not particularly realistic numbers. So we've covered that all in the past. That's the context in which we think about the start of Overwatch 2's tenure as being the Overwatch League game. And you would think this would be massive, right? Wouldn't you, Matt?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, this is Overwatch 2 finally hitting the esports scene on May the 5th. May the 5th. That's so soon. Except the game's not out. So.
But hey, it's going to happen at the same time as the PvP beta.
Fantastic.
People are playing the beta. They're watching streamers,
Big.
Your Overwatch, Stylosa, their views are going up. There's new stuff to talk about in the game. The league is on. Finally, it is Overwatch 2's time.
Yep.
And at least, as of the time of writing, they have no sponsors for it.
None. Literally no key sponsors.
No key sponsor. So, this is rough. Mm-hmm. This is very bad indeed. You would think that this kind of thing would be dealt with, because these are generally big deals. But no, they have no sponsors for the Overwatch League. I think we can think of a number of very obvious reasons why a brand does not want to attach themselves to this company.
It's likely nothing to do with the prospect of Overwatch 2 as a quality game or anything like that. Unfortunately, I think we all know exactly why this is the case.
Yeah, so if we go to the headline from Launcher by Teddy here, the Overwatch League returns with live events, which is pretty cool, but it is missing key sponsors. Of course, when the lawsuits dropped last year, what did we see? We saw the sponsors drop as well. Now, none of the sponsors who are, at a time were sponsors of the league, they were asked by the Washington Post whether they're planning to return in 2022. And none of them said they were.
Yep.
You then look at the Overwatch League website, and of course, one of the fun things whenever this story was going on is we were, you just refresh the OWL website, you're like, they're gone. Where's the sponsors? Right now, there are no sponsors listed on the Overwatch League's website. And then when he was asked, Sean Miller, who's the head of the league, said that they were in the middle of ongoing discussions with potential partners, not just past sponsors, but potential new ones as well. Here's a funny one. Even their own ISP doesn't want to sponsor them. So a spokesperson for Comcast, who owns Philadelphia Fusion.
Yep. So
Comcast owns an Overwatch League team, and they don't intend to sponsor the league.
That's how bad it is.
Now, of course, last season, the Comcast Xfinity brand was the official ISP of the Overwatch League, so that's like a sponsor deal.
Yeah, so
that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, that's the case where, they own the Philadelphia Fusion, but that's a multi-million-dollar asset, so you can't just, who do they want to sell that to? Because obviously they don't want involved, otherwise they would be happy to sponsor. So they clearly have got cold feet. So what do?
Yeah.
I guess they'll want to sell, but who's going to buy it?
And, of course, if you're thinking, sure, you can just, sell it to Coke for a $5.
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, they could, but Bobby is, in fact, leaving Coca-Cola's board of directors.
Yep.
He's not standing for re-election to the board.
Yeah, that's so much of his sway is what caused the Overwatch League, and it seems to be, based on what we've heard, a lot of like his own interest is what pushed this into this like NFL, like this big franchise league. This, we see what the LCS is doing over there. Could we get a shortcut to that, but bigger, because we're Activision fucking Blizzard. We're Activision Blizzard. We have the biggest game of all time, and he's just like, it seems Bobby, with the loss of Activision Blizzard, just like, no, I'm done. I'm gonna go do other shit. I don't want to do this anymore.
And I think what's funny is if we just call up this from ESPN in 2018,
Yeah.
It is the most ambitious esports project ever attempted, a truly global league whose success could transform the gaming landscape once and for all. Ah, yeah! To pull this off, they've aggressively recruited traditional sports owners like The Crafts. And now, on the first day of the Overwatch League finals at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, the investment will reach its zenith. Yeah, they did it at the Barclays Center, which, I don't know a lot about American sports, but I do know that, like, big stuff goes on there.
Yeah.
Here's the inside story of how Blizzard convinced one of the most successful owners in sports to join its new, very, very risky venture.
Did that pay off, I wonder?
Yeah. But hey, are we just a bunch of doomers? Could there be hope? Well, speaking to the Washington Post, the head of the league, Sean Miller, said that communication between developers and the league is arguably the best it's ever been. He said the developers from every level of the game team are chiming in to respond, to feedback from the league. It's more integrated than I've ever seen it, more collaborative, and I think that is leading to this really neat experience right now. It's really just one big team now. Obviously, he's not going to say the opposite, so we do need to take that with a grain of salt. What I can say is that would be in a contrast to what I heard. At a point, I heard from an esports insider, familiar with the matter, I'll say nothing else, just about there being, issues, crosstalk, not great leadership. And of course, when you actually looked at the Overwatch League, and this was after I had been to the league in person and, aggressively had Sour Patch Kids thrown at my person.
Fantastic.
I was at the league in person, and the one thing that I thought, and I suppose it's because I was used to watching StarCraft 2, where, in StarCraft there is a long history of extremely strong observers who, are the casters and the observers are used to working with each other, and you just feel like it's a great experience. And I just remember thinking, this is an awful viewership experience. This is truly terrible. How have they done this? And of course, then, I think you pointed me to some CSGO stuff. And then I go and I start looking at CSGO, and it's like, holy shit. Yeah, this is an FPS, and look how much they've really tried to make the viewership experience great.
Yeah.
And that seemed to me like a weird issue of Bobby's trying to get the league going, the developers are trying to make a game, there's not enough talk, and that leads to the league being not a great experience to watch.
Oh, this is, I don't know how old this interview is, but there's an interview, I think it's at E-League, and Richard Lewis talks about it, about, Overwatch as an esport, and he was saying that he obviously, before they started to not like him after Overwatch, he was in contact with a lot of Blizzard developers over StarCraft and stuff like that, and the developers had never had any intent for any of this to be esports. They were always like, no, we want to make a great game. If it's an esport, so be it. That's awesome. That's what happened with StarCraft. That's what happened with Warcraft. We built a competitive game, and this league started, all these players picked it up in a competitive way. That's really cool. That's exactly how Overwatch was built.
Yep.
And then that is super apparent. It's even apparent in Hearthstone, because Hearthstone didn't have a spectator client. I don't even know if it still does, or if it's just a weird workaround. None of these games have been built for esports. It's just executives going, oh, can we be the next football with our electronic sport?
Can we get
Let's do it.
We got 40 million from Robert Kraft, please.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all these executive people forcing this stuff, whereas the developers are like, man, we just want to make a game. And that's why Overwatch is the broadcasts were usually really, really good. The broadcasts were fantastic.
Sets were great. Your man, I forget his surname, Maliki, had a great energy to him.
Yeah.
The casting desk had all the energy, and I think also some really big names in casting too.
Yep.
The way that they had these screens above like the main screen, and it was lighting. It was a great production. In fairness to them, but the in-game tools were not there to make use of that great production.
Yeah, because it's like all of the esports people, they hired in some of the best people in esports, didn't listen to them in a directional standpoint, like from like how they should run the league, and that's why the kind of there's a bit of friction there. But like the developers weren't super interested in the esport. Maybe that'll be different with Overwatch 2. Maybe.
Well, at least it's going to be more in their design specs.
Yeah.
So if you think about Overwatch 1, like if they were just making that game to be that game, and as well, custom engine.
Mm-hmm.
So when stuff's being done in a custom engine, like it's really important to have, really well-defined requirements going into it. So, what if it is the case that just they had to build a bunch of new shit in the engine to do esports really well?
Yeah.
Now, could it get better? Well, here's the reason why maybe they could have some issues. So there was obviously, Monte Cristo and all those people, that whole wave going. I think SOE. She's gone.
Yeah, years ago. Yeah.
She did go with it.
I believe so.
Yeah, for a second I was wondering if I just completely
I think so.
screwed up my own brain, but at least like Monte Cristo and stuff went, and like those are really big names in this space. But they've lost Slideshow and Bren because of internal mismanagement, so that's pretty bad. They basically, Activision Blizzard kept on pushing for game exclusivity from their talent because they don't want the talent to jump ship, such as to Valorant. Right? And that's a big concern for them. But of course, for all these people are like, wait, I'm a host. I'm a caster. I am as good as, my ability to cover games and do events, and you are trying to control that. So it seems like they were doing that and not really compensating people, enough.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think it was Richard Lewis was talking about this, and I think Sideshow Brand talked about it themselves a little bit, but it's straight up just no. Activision Blizzard did not pay the money that they expected. They were like going, oh yeah, we'll pay you this. Oh, but don't touch any other games. You're like, but you're like, I need recompense for not doing other stuff. I am a professional in this field. What are you doing? And that's where like skills go to grow. People hop around different games, have a bunch of different game knowledge. You have like different specialties and stuff like that. And it is asking so much for someone to be a specialist in a game. Because obviously the depth of knowledge is required to be able to cast a game, especially when you're doing like really in-depth analysis. It's insane.
Yeah.
And everyone respects that, except for Activision Blizzard. Well, I think Riot have certainly had issues with Valorant people recently, I think.
Interesting.
I'm not super sure the details on that because everyone just seems to mistreat people and do this wrong. But it's just Activision Blizzard do not know how to run an esport. All of their esports have been accidental so far, and they will not accept that.
Yeah, and just a final little bit. So DJ Wheat has left Twitch. Now, I guess most people probably know him from Twitch. I know him from StarCraft well before Twitch, so he's been deeply in the esports scene for a long time.
Big OG.
And so you'll know that at a point, there was an exclusivity deal with YouTube Gaming and Blizzard Entertainment. But before that, it was the Twitch deal.
The $90 million exclusivity deal.
Yeah. Just him saying, I was the guy in the meeting saying, this is stupid, you're all stupid. This deal is really stupid. Now he had 11 of his team laid off after that deal. And of course, this bodes quite poorly for YouTube and how well their deal will have went.
Yeah, it's fundamentally like the reason I bring that up here is because it boils down to this single principle, which is none of the management who are pushing for this esport actually understand how esports is run. They have loads of talented people working for them who know how esports is run, and they just ignore them entirely. They just will not listen because what they say isn't what they want to hear. They want to hear, yeah, just run this big league and you'll have all the money in the world. Easy, no problem, job done. But, I mean, there's even a case where, I can't remember who it was, I believe Colin was telling me, but there's someone who used to work for them, I think this might have been the CDL in the Call of Duty League, left because they weren't getting paid enough, and because they weren't being listened to, went and started up a consultancy firm. Then they came back, started to get listened to, and started to get paid a whole lot more. Because they weren't just an employee, they were now an external contractor who was coming from the outside. And you're like, if only you'd listened to them back then.
Yeah, parts of esports are just such a freaking grim mess. But I think from Blizzard, you just see especially the sort of business connivings of Bobby Kotick really clash with the game development and the players and the talent. Like literally everyone other than Bobby is lost because, Bobby's going to get his golden parachute and all of that. I don't think Robert Kraft is thinking about his esports investment here and thinking, fantastic. Another great win for the Krafts.
Yeah, but even then, all of these people are basically they've been scammed out of a couple million a pop, and they'll feel a bit burned, but I can't imagine they care, because it's kind of the same with all these esports ventures where they aren't going, we'll put it all on the league. They're going, we've got 1,000 chips because we're hyper rich. Fuck it, we'll fire 10 on 0 on that roulette wheel. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we're down 10 mil. We'll make it up somewhere else. But it's like, to those people, it's not a big deal. To Bobby, it's not a big deal. Maybe it's kind of important to him to have that respect for building it, but it was a gamble that didn't pay off. But for everyone working there, it's like, oh yeah, you've just shit all over the livelihoods of all these people. Yeah. You've forced this burgeoning industry full of people up real big, and then just pulled the rug out from underneath them and went, sorry.
So thanks for being a big old scumbag, Activision management here.
Yep.
And with that, well, that's it for us. Look, I hope the league is good and fun when it comes out. I hope Overwatch 2 is great, because that's a great game for players, which is what we want.
That's true.
Just sucks when all this shit gets in the way. All right, see you next time.